All right, and we're live. Listen, feels good to be here as always, man. Today, special team with us. We are out here in LA for E3 2017, and this is another Tick Experience, Tick podcast with a completely new squad. I'm excited to have these guys on the show. So we're going to hop right in. We're going to talk about the Microsoft conference. We're going to talk about Bethesda, give our impressions of both, talk about some games, and really try to get to the nitty-gritty of what everybody is crying about when it comes to Microsoft, because it's like a bit frustrating. I get people's gripes. I understand it, but it's just a bit frustrating and funny at the same time. So let's get the show started because we got so much to talk about, and it's a lot on my mind. All right, here we go. Hey, welcome to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox One. I'm your host, KLRXKL, with Nicodemus.
What is good? It's Nicodemus, the king of indies himself. Welcome to the show, everybody. Excited to get to talking about these games, these conferences, specifically Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? So let's get this thing. Let's get it.
Too much food.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for stopping by and checking out this show. We're all very excited to talk to you a little bit about what we've seen here so far with Xbox E3 and the Bethesda show.
And JDHD.
Hey, everybody. This is JDHD, the premier anime writer for TICGN.
Premier.
I hear that.
There's that pizzazz.
Better recognize.
I like that.
So, man, listen, we go to the Microsoft conference yesterday. It was fun. Bumped into Rob Ferguson, chatted with him a bit, talked about Gears of War. Wind up bumping into Hip Hop Gamer, who's just a ball of energy.
He is the man.
Yeah, you definitely got that right.
Just a funny character.
Definitely.
I mean, and then getting into this Microsoft conference, and when you watch the Microsoft conference, it's a lot to take in initially. I know for these guys, it's their first time.
Yeah.
And you walk in, you see the stage. We're sitting up there like, what is behind? What is these big blocks on the floor? We don't know what they are. Show starts out. You see the open-end desert. We have no idea what it is, and eventually turns out to be Forza 7. And, my initial impressions of Forza was that for everything that people wanted Forza to be, it was and it wasn't. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I wasn't overly impressed with the graphical fidelity of the car models more than I was with the graphical fidelity of the environment. I thought the sky looked amazing. I thought the road looked amazing. The weather looked incredible. And I'm wondering if instead of them focusing on the graphics of the game, they focus more on the dynamics of the game. What made it dynamic? Whether it's dynamic lighting, dynamic weather, which is something normally the Forza, at least the motorsport part, doesn't normally get. It's more of like baked in, I guess you can say, in a way. So I was really kind of trying to figure those things out. But as you go along the course of the show, they show Metro. And Metro, just seeing that,
mind blowing,
was just graphically impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
Yo,
the detail in that game, man. I'm just gonna say this. I'm sitting there. So for the Forza thing, I'll just give my quick impressions on that. I'm not a huge racing game fan and stuff like that. It did look impressive, but I'm like, okay, it's another Forza. So that was kind of like a low point for me, just the start of it, just in my opinion. And then they showed the car on the stage, and I'm like thinking to myself, all right, Microsoft, let's just remember this is a game conference. It was just a little too much going on there for me. But when they got to that Metro, though, we really got the first glance of what a game looks like in native 4K. We're sitting there looking at it on a big giant 4K screen. You see those monsters, man. You see every single hair in their face. You see the detail. You see just every spit particle when they spit out. You know what I'm saying? You're seeing all that, and I'm just sitting there blown away, just the sheer detail. And I immediately knew it was Metro because I'm used to it, so I called it out immediately. But just the detail, man, it was absolutely amazing. So that was my first blow me away moment, just from a visual standpoint.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But not only the detail in the character models themselves, but actually the detail to the environment that they did as well.
Right.
When, for the instance, when a monster was coming through and how the door buzzed, and you saw literally millions of different pieces from the door fly everywhere. Yeah. Along with when the monster was falling off the cliff and how it had different pebbles and everything falling off, and then when a guy, whoever the main character is going to be, when he stepped close to the edge, rocks also fell. You really don't get to see that a lot in games today because everybody's so focused on, hey, we got to make the character models look good, or we got to take away from this and that. So just seeing that was a real big improvement.
So you're saying it's in 4K uncompromised?
I don't know if I'm going to go with uncompromised, but I would definitely go with 4K.
I was really impressed by it. I thought, in terms of visuals, it was beautiful, obviously. But just so that I don't repeat exactly what they said, I'm gonna touch up on the things that I kind of noticed that were a little off. First and foremost, I don't know if it was even actual gameplay, and what makes me think that is because the how the camera was, it wasn't like using a joystick or anything like that. So it wasn't like I seen that the head was swaying like perfectly, like camera angles, and then that beast comes out at a certain time. So it made me think like it was more so like an intro, kind of like how we see in like Uncharted or how we see in Tomb Raider, how there's that big chase that they make you do, but it's extremely linear, and then that's how they pan out and tell you the title of the game or whatever. But it was, as they mentioned, it was beautiful. Everything looks damn near polished. Frame rates were solid, no screen tearing. We seen it there in live in 4K. So I'm only assuming that they're using a Scorpio. I don't think they're using a PC to show this off. I could be wrong, but I think it is Scorpio that they're running this on, and it's really impressive. And I'm not really the kind of guy who's taken up by Metro, like never swept me off my feet. But just looking at this, I mean, I got chills, and it sold me on the idea of this game. So I'm pretty excited. I think it's a great game to especially look forward to if you want to get out of the same routine of games that you play every year.
Yeah, man. I mean, the game is absolutely stunning. It really, every game that they put up there, they said it was on Scorpio in 4K. They really put an emphasis on that. And I just was overly impressed with the graphic fidelity of a lot of the games. They showed Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed, you know, for me, it didn't look overly great graphically. I guess you could say player model. But what I loved about it was the gameplay. And the gameplay was different from what you normally see with most Assassin's Creed. From the weapons to shields to the approach of finding characters and stuff. So I was impressed with that. And the way it seemed so open world, swimming in the water, you know, showing creatures following you, lions and tigers and cheetahs and stuff all in the desert.
Yeah, the character models weren't great, like you said, but the scenery, I think they did a really good job of capturing the essence of like Egypt, just based on the trailer, the gameplay trailer alone. They really did a good job with that. And I mean, honestly, I'm not like a Assassin's Creed like fan like that, but this right here is a totally different approach, and it makes me feel like it's a not really even like the normal Assassin's Creed formula, to where somebody like me would be interested in getting into a game like this, you know. So, and yeah, the combat was like kind of like Dark Souls type of combat. It looked like
it was crazy.
That was interesting. That was interesting as well. So it seems like it'd be a little bit more challenging than other Assassin's Creed games as well. So yeah.
My only concern with it is we all know Ubisoft's history with games, and even though Syndicate was a big improvement from Unity, I'm still kind of sketchy just on should I really go back into Assassin's Creed considering all the problems they had before. So
I'm really excited though, mainly because the Assassin's Creed that I played that kind of like stick to where they started, like that era and that time and those specific characters. I feel like their best games were the ones that kind of reached out. Like, for example, Black Flag. Like that went to a different time era. Right? They used different weapons. Yeah. So they kept Assassin's Creed together, like the essence of it. But they went to a different era. And therefore that brings new lifestyles, different types of weapons, just everything is different. And being placed and the time in Egypt, which what seems like ancient Egypt, not current, obviously. I think that's what makes it more so interesting to me, because the last time they shone the most in my eyes was during Black Flag. So the gameplay, even though it's an alpha, it looks really good, and it seems like they're getting things together, and the construction of it they're taking care of it. It seems like they really care, and they kind of know that their showings for the last few years were lackluster, and the Division was kind of something that they I don't want to say drop the ball because it's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a missed opportunity. They had everything that they needed there to be that destiny killer, which is what they wanted. But instead, what they got was just a good game trying to beat a great one. And then now you got someone nipping at their heels like EA with Anthem. So I feel like they're kind of recognizing that, and they're moving on to the franchise that means most to them, at least at this moment, which is Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed, I skipped the last. I think the last Assassin's Creed I bought was Black Flag. And I've kind of just stayed away from Assassin's Creed for a while. So for me, I'm excited to get back to Assassin's Creed and really try to get back in a genre because I really love the Egypt setting. I love the lore of it. So for me, I definitely want to hop back into it. Now, what I liked about the conference is the one thing that a lot of Xbox fans was, really griping about early on, because Sony has been so dominant early on in this year. They dropped some really big third-party games. They dropped some really good exclusives. But over the last couple of weeks, they've been snatching up all these major third-party marketing deals. And Microsoft was just so quiet, absolutely quiet. You didn't know anything. And now you come to the conference and you see they got Metro, they got Assassin's Creed, they got the Madden deal, they got Dragon Ball Z. They have the Code Vein. So that's just, to me, those are big titles, even though it may not seem like it. Having Japanese marketing deals is huge to me.
Yeah,
that's
especially
huge.
For Microsoft.
Especially for Microsoft. Of all companies, is very huge to me. Seeing them have Dragon Ball Z, a 2D fighter, not the 3D fighter, but a 2D fighter, which truly appeals to the West.
Yes.
Because of Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, those type of games, just to me was just amazing. And we watched those trailers over and over and over.
At least about 10
multiple times.
Yeah, at least
just
10.
To really get a feel for what that game is and how important that game is going to be going forward. So I was really impressed with that. Seeing Code Vein on there was impressive as well. So I'm definitely excited that Microsoft has these marketing deals in place. And I think people should really take a step back and see what Microsoft is trying to do as they step away from some things that may be more expensive, like a FIFA, which was probably really expensive, and kind of dabble in something in Dragon Ball, which probably is not as big, Assassin's Creed, which may be still big, but not as big as FIFA, which has this global appeal because it's a sports game, and kind of step away. But they still have Madden, which appeals to the U.S. So third party wise, I think they did pretty good.
I think what they're showing at the conference that I think a lot of people kind of like just flew over their heads is that what they're doing with the third party deals, is, of course, it's not as many or as big as Sony and stuff, but I think it's in the Japanese side of things. I think it's like a step in the right direction, what I'm saying, rather than the end all be all. I think people came to this E3 conference looking for like the end all be all. Instead of seeing it for what it is Microsoft trying to change some things around, like Lynn was saying, trying to change some things around, trying to make up for some things that they probably shouldn't have did, and try to recover some things and bring a diverse lineup to the Xbox fans, which everybody's been asking for. Everybody's been asking for this. This is something that's been on the PlayStation side for a while. That PlayStation gamers have come to love and expect from PlayStation, and Xbox gamers in turn have been asking for the same thing. You wanted Japanese games. You're asking why there aren't JRPGs on Xbox and things. You give it to them, and then people are upset about it. I don't understand. From the business standpoint for Microsoft, it's kind of hard to please the fans, in my opinion. Because you just don't know what the fans want. They're trying to give the fans what they want, and it's going to take time to give you exactly what you want, but you got to see this as like a stepping stone, in my opinion. And that's what I saw this conference as, a step in the right direction,
It is a step in the right direction, but I think the main problem is that Xbox fans aren't used to the show that Microsoft put on yesterday. A lot of third-party deals is Japanese games, not really. Well, pretty much
the third-party deals they should be used to.
Yes,
and come to expect that. But the Japanese games,
the Japanese games. Not a lot of first-party, no AAA blockbusters that a lot of people was looking forward to, like Halo or something.
I would say no.
I would say no.
Well, I'm saying on the level of Gears and Halo, and there's nothing new. Everybody was expecting brand new IP, and they didn't get that. Along with the price of the console being $499, a lot of people had their heart set on $399 for whatever reason.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
I'm telling y'all for weeks.
Yeah, but I think that's really kind of mainly what brought a lot of people expectations down and have them feeling like Microsoft did not do a good job.
Yeah, I just think it's impressive. I personally think it's impressive, mainly because the amount of games that they've shown. I understand that they didn't show new IPs, that they didn't show a lot of first-party stuff. But what I think about is like the SNES, and I think about PlayStation 4, because something that the SNES and the PlayStation 4 really didn't have to do was have a lot of first-party titles. They could only have the very few because they had such strong third-party support. It's like, why make the games ourselves if someone else will make it for us and they still get their cut? I know that it's not about the business side for us. It's about actually getting to play the games. But when I see a conference like this, I think it's a good thing because it shows that they're getting strong support. And they're not only getting strong support, they are supporting them back by giving them time on such a big stage. There's some games out there that I would have never seen or played or heard of had they not been up there. So I think that's really cool. We already know what their portfolio looks like in terms of first-party games. So why do I need to know that the next Halo's coming? Like, let's say there is a Halo that's coming next year. Why do I need to see it this E3? Just take that, announce that sometime further out in the year. But right now, let's focus on what you're trying to, I guess, invest in. And others and other developers that you believe in, that also believe in your platform, your console, and show them the support. You don't need all this time to show the same franchises. And we know that they're down a few because of Fable and Scalebound and so forth. But everything's coming according to plan. I love that there was so much time dedicated to the games. There was a point to where when I was sitting there, I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen anybody talk for some time. What game was that where a dev or one of the studio members, they came out, but then they didn't even start talking for like 30 seconds. The game was still playing.
That was actually a few. Shadow of War.
Yeah,
that was definitely one.
So when Shadow of War went up, I looked at him because they had the spotlight on him, and I'm looking at him, and he didn't even talk. So I was just like, this is it. This is about the games, the games. So whether you're one of those people that care about narratives only or sales only, here's your thing. They got the game, so you're gonna have to find something new to complain about. I guess you're probably gonna be upset about having to pay money to get the quality of a $600 PC. I don't know, but it's a very good conference. I'm more so hopeful than ever, especially with the addition of OG Xbox support coming. I mean, you can't. No one in the chat. You can't argue that. I mean, the more games ain't enough. Like, this is good.
I mean, I like. Listen,
you gotta play the old Dragon Ball Z if you get Xbox support.
It's funny because I'm sitting up here and I'm thinking about the conference. You know, they showed some really awesome indie games. Ashen looked incredible once again. Hopefully, we get a date on that eventually. We got release dates for Cuphead finally.
Thank God.
Tacoma's dropping this year. You know, they dropped a Super Lucky Tale. You know, those 3 games are dropping at the end of the year. You got Crackdown, which is your big AAA title, which drops at the end of the year, along with Forza 7. But there's 5 exclusives or console exclusives. And then they showed some amazing indies like last night.
The last night,
amazing.
And the last night, I mean, I don't know how many times we watched the trailer for the last night.
3.
And
counting.
You know, they start off and you see the water, and the water is so realistic. And the rain hitting the screen is so realistic, yet the actual player models are all pixelated. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful game, and no one's recognizing this beautiful freaking game.
You know what that made me think of is I like to appreciate the developers. Whether and this isn't me just saying this because they're doing something different. It's the fact that they're not using that as a crutch, because some other developers, they'll take a boring game and they'll hide it behind something that uses it as a crutch, like, oh, well, our game's different. I don't care. Is it fun? So like this game right here is taking a formula that has been proven to be fun, obviously, for those of us that enjoy 2D platformers and 2.5D platformers. But this apparently has a very deep narrative, right? That was the story. We'll say that. I don't know why I said narrative.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of the other devs that went out there with a different art style, like Minecraft, and we all know how successful that turned out to be. They said, we're going to do this. We know that there's your 720p, your 800, 900, and 1080s, but we're going to go with this very simple, art form, and we're going to make this fun. And I feel like that's what they're doing, and they're not afraid to take on what the industry they could easily do something like that. It's kind of like Borderlands as well. Borderlands first looked like Skyrim, honestly. It looked like Oblivion.
Right, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And then they were like, this is just more of the same. And they were like, let's bring this art style. And they weren't afraid, and then it paid off big time. So
the last night, and the reason why I try to bring up these type of games, these indie and these smaller titles, is that I think people tend to forget that developing relationships with these smaller devs, or even developing relationships with the Japanese developers, builds trust and allows you to eventually maybe have them do a game for you exclusively or first party wise. Building relationships with Microsoft is super important. And I look at what Sony did the first 3 years. No one complained about them not having a strong first party. The media completely praised them. And don't get me wrong, they had a AAA title that was amazing in Bloodborne or Uncharted, but for the most part, they really had a strong presence with third party, a real strong presence with indie. Remember, Indie Station 4, everybody's running Indie Station 4.
Yep. And yet, everybody's hating on my indies.
Right, and that's for what, 2.5, 3 years. Meanwhile, Microsoft is dropping games every holiday season, 3, 4, 5 games every holiday season.
Microsoft had no games.
Yeah, but Microsoft had, right. And now you turn around at Microsoft's 2017 lineup. I'm not going to sit up here and actually be like the lineup is actually the strongest.
Yeah.
Like, I 100% understand
right.
But that's not what this is about. We're talking about the conference and what they're presenting in 2017, 2018, and looking at the amount of effort. 42 games shown, right? 22 are exclusive or timed exclusive. And we still have Gamescom. We still have Tokyo Game Show, which they're attending. We don't know what they have for the winter of 2018, which is smart because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're back to saying, oh, we showed you this awesome game, but guess what? We got to cancel it. Or we got to delay it to 2019. Or we got to delay it to 2020. And the game's not ready. Show us the games that's ready. And that's what they did.
I think the conference was good. It wasn't perfect. So I'm gonna just touch on what I think is at the heart of the matter. So they showed a lot of variety. The indie games and things like that. For me, the type of gamer I am, most of you do know. I love those types of games, those indie games. But I think for a lot of the hardcore Xbox fans, because it's really the hardcore Xbox fans that are having a problem with this conference. For them, I don't think that Microsoft showed them the type of games that they like. You know what I'm saying, necessarily. And I know a lot of people were looking for new IPs and things. They did have new IPs. They had, Super Lucky Tales. They had Super Lucky Tales, which is a platformer. It's got a new Fox character and stuff like that. And I know people are kind of like ripping on that because they don't like, the hardcore Xbox fan base don't like games like that, and they ride that off. No one's talking about that. You know what I'm saying? It's like it was nothing. So they feel like they got cheated. They feel like it's been so long since they had a new IP. And I understand that because new IPs, exclusives, things like that, I'll say this over and over again, they matter. They are important, you know what I'm saying? But I think you guys need to just look at the conference, what it was, and look at what you got and appreciate, what you got. And like I said, see this as a starting point to the things that you guys really do want, because I do think Microsoft is working on getting new IPs on the platform and fresh things for you guys and things like that. So I think you just appreciate what you got. They showed a lot of games. Like if you go back and actually look at it and get out your feelings and stuff and the heartbreak and stuff, I think that if you actually look at that conference from just like from a gamer perspective, you'll see they got some really hot gems coming into the Xbox platform, whether it's just flat on exclusive, timed exclusive, console exclusive, whatever the case may be. And do you want to touch on this exclusive thing? Because I think a lot of people got issues with that being that it's also on PC.
Yeah,
well.
I mean, I think people just gotta get over the whole PC Xbox thing. People want Microsoft to have exclusives. It's not happening. They are one family now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting player unknown battlegrounds.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And that's a big game. And that's a huge game for the Xbox community.
It does look dope.
And I think Microsoft, and I said this before, I think the biggest and the coolest thing is that what Microsoft is doing is while they're allowing their biggest titles to hit PC, they're turning around and grabbing the biggest titles from PC and bringing it to Xbox. We literally got a tweet from the Arc devs that literally just came out and said that Arc will be 4K 60 on Scorpio, and that the PS4 Pro can't even do 60. And that's kind of like, and he admitted that. Yeah, that's the craziest thing about it. Like, no dev really comes out and says that. Most people try to be real about it and just be like, well, you know, this, that, and the third. But he came out and said it. You had Jeff Keighley. He had the interview with Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley, being the media, tries to, you know, kind of balance the scales. Like, well, you know, what can the Pro do? And he's like, no, it's not possible. It's just not happening. And I felt that was significant. That is something that I think a lot of people have to understand. The hardware is there as well. I explained to people off the jump, and I told Anchorman too, it's going to be $499, and everybody's upset that it's $399.
I don't understand that, though.
It's a premium device.
I don't understand that, though.
Phil Spencer pitched this console as a niche device. No one was listening. I felt like I was the only person listening. And all the Xbox fans hyped themselves up to believe it was $399. Yeah. And then
why did they want it to be $399 though?
Obviously, they wanted to be cheap, and I get that. Yeah. I get it. And you know, the disaster of the first Xbox, I get it. But he said, listen, all the games work across the board for a reason. Making it $399 undercuts the Slim because then no one buys the Slim because $399 powerful console is more affordable. So they make the niche product for the gamer that has the power, the TV, everything. That's what it was for. That's what they pitched it for, a premium device. And now it's a premium price.
So after this, let me ask the chat this and everybody this. So after looking at what's in the Scorpio, they explained everything. They explained what it has to offer. They show what it has to offer as far as visuals go. I understand everybody's upset about the games and everything, but as far as visuals go, the power of this thing, do you feel like it's worth $499? Just realistically, when you look at all that, do you feel like it's worth $499, or you just feel like it's not worth it and it should be cheaper? Because I do agree, $499 is not bad. I mean, it's a premium product. You're getting, you know, 4K games, you know what I'm saying? And of course, it's at developer discretion. All the games ain't going to be in 4K. Let's be real. But you have the capability to get, you know, higher fidelity in these games, you know, higher performance and things like that. So I personally don't have a problem with the price. I knew it was going to be $499, just like Cal was saying as well. And I'm not disappointed in the price whatsoever. And this whole $399 thing, it honestly, everybody knew and thought it was going to be $499 up until 2 weeks ago. Then this $399 thing started coming around. I think people wanted to be $399, honestly, because they wanted to compete with the Pro. I feel like they wanted to compete with PlayStation in general. I feel like a lot of people wanted this thing to be, you know, just a hot seller to where it's going to overcome the PS4. I think people really need to just stay in their lane when it comes to this stuff. Appreciate what you got as a Xbox fan. Appreciate what you got and stop worrying about the competition so much, honestly. So I think a lot of the anger comes from that, you know. So
I definitely agree.
I agree.
I think what the Scorpio or the One X will say after its coming out party, it's it is a premium device, and so that's not my opinion. That's a stupid way to start. The One X is a premium to pay for that, and I think honestly, us who are buying those, because it's very niche, like Nick said, we're paying the premium for them to cut down the price on the One S. And I think because the One S is going down in price, more people are going to buy that. Those who don't already have it and those who are in the market to get one because they've waited for X amount of years to get a console. Because I know people that just won't get a console. I know people that wait to the end of a console life cycle to get that console because they're just so cheap or broke or not that big of a gamer. So I feel like we're going to be paying that premium to bring down that price. Now, these two devices, they're devised to get into the house in one form of fashion or the other. So you got a weaker console, we'll say weaker because I've thoroughly enjoyed my old Betsy and 1S. And then you got your premium console. There's people out there who will go for whatever is the premium model. There's people who cannot waited for a more premium console than that of the PS4 Pro, and then they bought that because of that. So there is a market for that. There's a shortage in PS4 Pro devices being sold, and according to Sony statistic, it is every 1 in 5 PlayStation 4 sold is the PS4 Pro. So imagine if they had a greater supply, and if there is demand for that. Imagine one where it is ahead of the tech curve, I'll say, in comparison to the Pro. It could just do more, and not just do more, but do it better. And it's not form over function; it's function over form. So the things that it can do is because developers wanted this. So it is a premium device. We are paying a premium price, but it's all part of the greater plan of just getting an Xbox into the home. For whatever reason, they are covered with those two consoles, whether you are casual, whether you are hardcore, whether you just want a UHD player and you don't give a damn about games, there is a reason to have an Xbox.
Yeah, I agree. JD, anything?
Y'all pretty much said everything.
Yeah, man. Said it all. I just, listen, Microsoft, I think, obviously, a lot of fans want the new next big AAA title.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening immediately because Scorpio is dropping. I look at it from the perspective of what the Pro did. What Sony did that year before the Pro came out, they produced some really good games. They had some really great indies. Unfortunately, that one of the big ones like No Man's Sky didn't pan out.
Right.
But they still had some really good titles at the end of the year. But guess what happened the following year? That spring, you had Nier. You had Horizon Zero Dawn. It didn't drop the same year as Scorpio. Nothing sold the Pro.
Right.
So I look at it from the same perspective. Nothing, at least in this regard, you still have Shadow of War. You still have Crackdown, Assassin's Creed.
Destiny.
You got Destiny, Battlefront. Even though those are third-party titles, you got
you got Destiny? What y'all talking about Destiny for?
Well, it's a third party because Destiny's going to have the better version.
Oh, okay.
Scorpio.
Okay.
So the point that I'm trying to make is that as those games come out, yes, for the first couple of months, you'll be able to play the best version of those games. And the small amount of exclusives that do come out will hold you down, including Player Unknown Battlegrounds, which is going to be a pretty big title, like Ark was when it came out for Xbox. But as you go into 2018. And Scorpio gets this dev kit under everybody's belts. Not only will it be good for Xbox, it'll be good for the Pro. Because then those games that get improvements for Xbox will eventually trickle down to the Pro. And you'll start to see more investment into what Scorpio is doing. And you'll start to see these bigger titles that Microsoft is investing in that comes out. Now, next year when they drop Halo 6 and they drop Anthem and Forza Horizon 4, and they drop whatever other games they got, Sea of Thieves, and so on and so forth. The Dragon Ball Z marketing deal kicks in. The Code Vein game kicks in. When you start seeing all these commercials from Microsoft, and you see the Dragon Ball and the Code Vein and the
Last Night.
Right, and the Last Night, and all these indie titles, and the Ashes, and so on and so forth start to drop. And you start seeing these things left and right, and you see that Xbox logo multiple times, everybody's going to be quiet. Because then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, here's these other X amount of games that was a part of the 42 from last year's E3. No one's thinking about that. They're only thinking about what's happening this year and not about the plan and path that they set going forward. And then diversity in that path, which I think is important. We know that they're going to pump out Gears, Halo, Forza.
Yeah, I think this is, like I was saying before, it's a good stepping stone. But I also do feel like Microsoft does not need to wait until next E3, hashtag wait till E3. They need to stop that. So if they got something that they're not ready to show right now, I get that, but they need to show it at the Gamescoms. They need to show it, whatever conference before E3, because honestly, these games, they're cool. They're definitely cool. I'm not taking anything away from the games. You guys know, I definitely did enjoy that, but to please the Xbox fans in the community, they are looking for new IPs. They're looking for, games that cater to them. Microsoft has to show them something soon. You know what I'm saying? I understand they weren't ready at this E3, but they cannot wait until next E3. That's not going to appease them. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to satisfy the community. And I understand. I agree, because it's been sparse from an exclusive standpoint on the Microsoft end for this whole year. It's been sparse. So a lot of these fans were expecting the next half of the year to make up for the first half of the year. They were expecting that, and it's really not. Yes, they got some great indies that I love. Saying that will definitely appease me and satisfy me, but for the majority of the Xbox community, that's not what they want. It's really not what they want. And you gotta give them what they want, or at least show them that is coming, and you cannot wait until next E3 to do that.
You think the problem is that Microsoft is worried about another scale-bound incident? Do you think that's why they
can't let that scare them? They can't let that scare them. They have to have confidence in what they are willing and able to deliver. They can't let one setback like that scare them. You know what I'm saying? To the point where they're not communicating. Because if you look on the other side of things, on the PlayStation side of things, they're always constantly communicating about the games that are coming. There's developer diaries, they're advertising and stuff. Microsoft has to get on that same page. If they got something in the vault, they have to start communicating that to the player base beforehand. You know what I'm saying? So we get final thoughts on the Microsoft thing, and then we're going to touch on Bethesda really quick. What do you think, and Chris? Final thoughts as far as the Microsoft conference as a whole.
I just think it's the right direction to take, especially this year, because the lack of the first party stuff. I think supporting developers, supporting your third parties, giving them a platform, and not just in terms of a platform to develop on, but a stage, that type of platform. I think they're doing all the right things. They're building, not only building new relationships, but they're trying to make current relationships stronger. For example, like they do with Anthem. Phil didn't have to go out there and say any of that. We all know going out there and saying those things, praising the developer for a job well done and for a good relationship, that really doesn't really do anything for us as a gamer, but it's them paying respects and just letting them know that they appreciate them. And that's just showing how much they care, and they want to let others know that they care about their game, and they want to do whatever they can to make sure that it comes to Xbox. So far, they're doing the right thing this year, and I think it'll be a different thing next year. We'll see more first-party stuff, but because of this situation, it's not a bad one. It's just this current situation. Because of that, they're taking this strategy, and they're focusing more on everyone else. And I think that's the right thing to do.
So real quick, I want to get 1 to 10 scale, 10 being the best, of course. What do you give this conference? What is your score, sir?
I'll say an 8, only because being in the room, I felt the lack of energy from Scorpio, the One X. Not because of the console or anything like that. The console was great. It was that price announcement.
The price,
yeah. I mean, here was the excitement the whole time. Yeah,
and we're like, price dropped. We're like, they say it was $4.99. The atmosphere shifted.
OG Xbox. I mean, it is a 10 out of 10 show. I was the first one to scream because Phil was down here, right, and I was reading his teleprompter because it tells him when to pause, and it was like, and we're very happy. And I'm like reading the teleprompter, and it says original Xbox games, and I was like, yeah, boy. It was up there. And then here's the Scorpio, and we're gonna be launching it for $4.99. And
cut to next segment.
It's again.
They didn't like
it's
that.
A price that I think it's a completely fair price. It's not a sexy price. That's the whole problem. It's not sexy, but it's completely fair. They're in it to make money. What if I came to you and I told you you're selling your car for $1,000, and I'm like, yeah, but how about for 800? You tell me to get out of there. So everything's right. Everything's just right in terms of final grade. It's an 8.
It's an 8. All right, my man JD. Final thoughts, and give us your score for this conference, sir.
My final thoughts is I thought it was pretty good. They showed game after game after game, which is all what we really want at the end of the day. I didn't really have too many big problems with it. Of course, the price of $4.99 kind of hurt me because I don't necessarily feel like shelling out $500 right now. But I do want the system, so I'm going to find some miraculous way to make it work. But on my grade scale, I'm going to probably give it an 8 to an 8.5.
Okay.
So, yeah, what about you, Nick?
Okay. So, final thoughts for this conference. Yeah, yo, the conference was good, man. It definitely good. It had some slow parts, especially like at the beginning. For me, it was kind of slow. For me, it was seeing these games in native 4K. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of the indie titles that they showed, absolutely loved them, the way they looked. The appeal. Definitely some games that I'm definitely looking forward to coming there. And some of the other new IPs like Super Lucky Tales that people ain't talking about, that looked great to me. You know what I'm saying? So it was like they were saying, it was game after game that I was interested in. I'm sitting there like looking like this. And when I'm looking like this, I'm interested. I got my eyes on the screen and can't take it away. So there was a good period in the middle there where I was just staring like this. So overall, definitely in my humble yet often correct opinion, it was a good conference. It was a different direction that we're not used to seeing from Microsoft conferences, and I did respect that. So overall, I'm gonna give it a solid 7. 7 is a good score from me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give it a solid 7. It wasn't great in my opinion. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. You know what I'm saying? So my man, Cal L.
What's up?
Your final thoughts?
Final thoughts on the conference, and we giving scores, my man.
For the Xbox conference?
Yes, sir.
All right, so for the Xbox conference, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Give it an 8 out of 10 because, listen, I've been clamoring for any type of Japanese support on the platform for the longest time. I think, listen, it wasn't a lot, but from what I did see, I did like it. I felt a little, impressed with their effort. Seeing gameplay at Crackdown, and I know a lot of people want Microsoft to show Crackdown. I look at it like they got Gamescom. Crackdown's a Euro studio. They're going to show Crackdown at Gamescom. That's going to probably be the big game that they show off single-player wise, and they'll probably really be impressed with that. But overall, it felt like watching a Michael Bay movie. It's just explosions everywhere. It looks exciting.
Green explosions.
People just launching themselves off buildings. It looks fun.
It
looks fun. And I think a lot of people should really take a second look at that. And just overall what they're trying to do with the presentation, no leaks. Even though Scorpio may be a bit expensive for some people, for those of us who are hardcore, those of us who plan to trade consoles in, we'll be able to get it. If you're casual, you'll pick up a Slim it's going to be $50 off, whether it's $199, $249, whatever it's going to be, you'll be able to get something. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. I initially gave it a 9, but I took it a step back. So 8 out of 10. And hopefully we see some more stuff at Gamescom and some more stuff at Tokyo Game Show.
Okay. I have a question before we move on to our Bethesda reactions. Does anybody have their most anticipated from Microsoft? Any games you're really looking forward to out of the whole conference?
Like the one game?
Yeah, one game.
That one game.
That one game, sir.
I'm gonna be cliche, man. I'm gonna be cliche. I gotta be cliche on this. Anthem looked amazing. It did. It looked absolutely amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, all that good stuff. But I'm gonna have to go with the last night.
Really?
Yes.
Come on.
Really?
Out of everything.
Yes, I'm
you
sorry.
choose the last night.
I'm sorry. I have to. I'm sorry. I am the king of indies. I have a reputation to uphold here.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to say that was the game that I'm constantly thinking about. Anthem blew me away. Don't get me wrong. It blew me away. I am interested in, but I have been thinking about the last night like more than Anthem, taken away from the show. I have. I want to know about the story of this game. I want to know about the history. I want to see developer diaries. This is the game that I'm actually going to do research and invest some time into finding more about.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And Anthem, definitely close second. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
All right. Fool, what about you?
I'm just going to have to break the rules and pick 2 because the game that I know I will get first throughout all that is Ori and the Will-O-Wisp, right?
Yeah.
I'm just a huge fan of the studio. They did a great job, and the art direction in terms of sheer entertainment and story writing, everything was executed lovely. I really enjoyed the performance that they put on, and I appreciate that as a gamer. I mean, they didn't have to do that, and they did that for us who enjoyed the game and gave them a chance. So it's kind of like they're returning that favor. And this one got my attention too. So I know I'll be purchasing that one above all. And then the last night. So
Hey,
those two have my attention the most. But like, if I only had money to buy one of those two, it'd be Ori. But I definitely
you played the first Ori.
Yeah,
that's why.
I just want to equally give The Last Night that fair chance, because they both kind of did the same thing. They did something different. They took a chance in doing something different, and I appreciate that, and I want to support them for that. So
right.
There's that.
Right.
Well, for me, I'm gonna go ahead and say Dragon Ball Z, of course.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
The resident anime guy.
Yes, the resident anime guy. Bringing it back to the 2D fighters, the old Budokai style with a little mix of Guilty Gears, it looks like. I'm definitely looking forward to that. 3v3 combat. We watched some gameplay earlier, fellas.
Yeah.
You know, we all loved it. Can't wait for it.
Dragon Ball has been trash for so long. I'm so glad.
Hold on, it hasn't been that trash. It hasn't been that trash.
It's been horrible.
Pumpkin breaks.
I'm so glad they actually got a good Dragon Ball game coming out.
We're gonna talk about this later. I'm not gonna let you disrespect Universe like that. Universe not trash. So.
All right, look, man, it's just too many to talk about. You guys know me. You know what I'm into. I have to acknowledge Microsoft and getting Black Desert.
Yeah,
and Black Desert
that looked amazing,
was such a clutch pickup.
Yeah.
I don't think people even are thinking about this game.
I don't think people know exactly what Black Desert is,
right? Like, I mean, having this Korean-made MMO on your platform, first of all, I don't think there's an MMO that looks this good anywhere.
No.
Graphically.
No.
And having this on your platform, to me, is just huge. And I cannot wait to get into that game.
That was a good pickup.
And it just goes to show you they're truly trying to reach out to bring over these Eastern games. Having Dragon Ball was huge. I was not into the whole 3D Dragon Ball. I'll admit that. But this 2D one is just too impressive not to get. We watched this thing forever. The combinations, the instant transmissions,
the Golden Frieza.
Oh my God, bro. I'm just like, listen, I know Xbox fans are so westernized and so PC based that it's hard to accept some of these Eastern games. But that's just like, it's just hard not to like see these things and like not recognize, wow, this is amazing. Even if they don't own it, even if it's not first party, knowing that it was on Microsoft stage tells me a lot.
Yeah, I love that moment when they show Goku from like his knees, and they slowly start to pan the camera up.
Right.
I remember getting chills.
Yeah, we were going crazy at that point.
Everybody was screaming.
It was pretty sick. And then of course, you got the cold veins. You had some great indie games. I thought The Last Night, to me, just
that was your best indie, at least?
Best indie.
Okay.
That and Ori.
I agree.
Ori, listen, Ori 1 is amazing. It really touched your heartstrings, and the second one already looks sad as hell.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
The game is hard.
The game is difficult. The second one already looked depressing. The music is just amazing. But for me, because I'm such a BioWare fanboy, and because I've been begging for KOTOR, and this is nothing like KOTOR, but the fact that it reminds me of this world of Star Wars and Mass Effect, then I gotta go with Anthem. Anthem to me just
I respect it.
When you look at the explosions, when they blow things up, the particle of you will not. I'm telling you right now, you will not get that in the S. You will not get what you've seen on Xbox Scorpio in the S. The particle effects, the smoke effects, the debris, the little things in that game, you're not going to get that.
The draw distance.
The draw distance was insane.
Oh my goodness.
When we sat there and said to ourselves, it reminded me of the scene where, like, when you're playing Destiny and you go to the edge where you're like in the beginning of the game and you look out into the distance, but if you jump off that distance, you die. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got the ships coming in, but you jump. But when they get there, dude comes out the sky with his tank armor. She's got her she had on like medium grade armor or whatever, but she had on her medium grade armor. And you get to the edge, and you're like looking in the distance, and I said, dude, it's a waypoint.
Way
to the
over
right.
On top of the mountain.
Waypoint on a mountain to the right, and they jump off
Very
and start
impressive.
flying.
Very impressive, dog.
Oh my God.
Iron Man style.
Just mind blown. Absolutely mind blown.
And not to mention when you're flying through, and then she just dives straight down into this ocean.
When she dives into the lake, and you just exploring, you get XP for exploring. You go into the lake, she comes out. The mech dude, when they're running next to each other, and the other dude jumps away to the other side,
and goes all the way
and he
around.
goes on his own way, and she looks to the right, and you see him launching himself in the sky. Like, that excitement, that game excitement. At that point, You got to stop saying they don't got no exclusives. You just got to look at this game and be like, yo, this game is amazing, and I cannot wait to play this game. And as much as I was impressed with what they showed, and as much as, of course I want a new IP, I understand what Microsoft is doing. I get their position, and I want people to stop trying to make Microsoft Sony. I think this is the biggest problem the Xbox community has.
That's the problem.
You see what Sony has and what they're doing.
Yeah, I want you to
and you want to match it. Let Microsoft do what they're doing. If you're an Xbox fan and you didn't complain the first 3 years, why are you worried about the last 3 years? It's a small little gap where it's a die down period after they produce so much the first 3. Let them get their stuff together. In 2018, 2019, going into the end of the generation, you will see what they produce. And I really think a lot of people will be impressed because they have Scorpio and they're going to be pumping out games for this thing, and it's going to be really impressive.
Right.
So Anthem is my game. I thought the show was 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
And
all 8s.
Really impressed.
Yeah, all 8s.
Yeah,
all 8s and 7 from your boy Nico.
Yeah, absolutely.
This guy.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
From a PlayStation.
Did you guys get a chance to talk about Bethesda?
The last thing. Well, you can kick that off. Shouldn't take too long, right?
Yeah, it's just listen.
No offense.
No disrespect to the people, except for Anchor. Much disrespect to Anchor for harassing me all week with his nonsense about,
Alien Isolation.
That's right, Alien Isolation and stuff like that. And by the way, just to let people know, it wasn't only Anchorman who was harassing me about this bet. It was also the Multiverse and the 2XP podcast, except for Trophy Life. So because of that, there will not be any Multiverse or 2XP podcast on the Tick Network for the rest of E3 until we come back, except for Trophy Life, Tick Podcast, and Super Podcast. I shall have my revenge, you bastards, for trying to play me. Don't ever disrespect Kal-El ever again when it comes to bets.
Dude, I think you got off easy, man. I was trying to push him hard into making you play Corey in the House instead.
Corey in the House.
Because that would be terrible. I mean, that is just...
He got lucky because
he did.
He wanted Wolfenstein's date, which just before The Evil Within 2. And he was like, he's not buying The Evil Within. First of all, Evil Within 2 is scary as hell.
Yeah, screw that.
So I'm not even messing with
I don't care what you say about me. Screw that.
I'm just happy I don't have to play Alien Isolation. Literally, when they said the price was $4.99, I was the only one in the crowd that said, yes!
Yep. We talked about
the loudest one.
The crowd died down. This man the only one celebrating.
That's like, yes, because I don't have to play Alien Isolation in front of everybody. It was just hilarious. I'm like, okay, my bad. I forgot. Yeah, that's a bit expensive.
The amount of looks he got when he screamed for $4.99.
It was hilarious. But anyway, so Bethesda conference, first of all, nobody throws a party like Bethesda.
No.
Yes.
If you're following us on Twitter, I tried my best to do as much Periscopes as possible to give you guys a sense of what we experienced at Bethesda. Incredible.
Lit.
It was incredible. You're talking about a smorgasbord of food from ribs,
that giant turkey leg,
to giant turkey
cotton
leg,
candy,
corn,
candy apples.
Again, with the Elder Scroll mugs of lager.
Yes.
They came back with it. They had cotton candy. They had popcorn. They
grilled
had
cheese,
slushy, grilled cheese,
drinks,
clam chowder,
endless
drinks,
endless open
just
bar.
everything. It was amazing, man. And I mean, the music was amazing. I was so impressed by the DJ. I was like, who is killing the game right now?
You said last year the DJ wasn't really.
Yeah, it wasn't all that. And they had Blink-182, which was okay. But this year they wound up having an amazing DJ. Then turned around to end the show with the Chainsmokers.
Yeah,
that was big.
Dude, that was massive. There was Kid Smooth. Kid Smooth was right next to me, and they said they got Wolfenstein in the booth, and they're opening up 2 more sections for the party. And they open up bars. There was 8 bars when we started, free liquor, free
and
food.
I hit all of them.
And you and me.
And then they added 2 after the press conference. So they had 10 bars now. They're giving out free In-N-Out burger. And they're like, we got Wolfenstein that you can go play over there. And I told Kid Smooth, I said, go. And he was like, what? I started pushing him a little. I'm like, go. Don't even wait for the people. Let's just go. And then he said, and we got the Chainsmokers. And I turned around and I said, they got the Chainsmokers? And Smooth said, what? I said, they got the Chainsmokers, and I just left him. And
Every man for
it was
himself.
just
Word.
I mean, that
was.
It was like reverse Microsoft's conference, because Microsoft was like this Xbox original games on Xbox, and then they're like $4.99. But Bethesda, they were like, oh yeah, free drinks and then free food. Yeah, we're gonna give you some free swag. We're talking about these games. Here they are. We're gonna add this, and it's coming on Nintendo Switch. Here's your DLCs. All these games are coming out this year. We got the Chainsmokers. I mean, they ended it on a high note.
They really just pumped everything up. And in the end, man, it was a fun show.
Yeah.
As far as the conference is concerned.
Yeah, because being there versus the actual conference
is
totally different. Totally.
As far as the conference is concerned, I think that with the conference, it wasn't as impressive as last year because it was just mostly DLC. It was just so much DLC and so much focus on the things they already have that are doing so successfully and extremely well that we just really wasn't impressed with it, other than the last two trailers of Wolfenstein and The Evil Within. And first of all, The Evil Within trailer was absolutely amazing. And that's coming from somebody who hates horror games. I was impressed. I was actually scared of the damn trailer.
That he jumped on me.
I literally jumped.
He jumped on me.
When the lady was walking through the hallway at him and he was backing up. And then she just like, I was like, oh. and you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, yo, what the hell?
It was bad.
It was pretty bad. I don't know why I'm scared of these games.
The whole audience,
ridiculous.
The whole audience is quiet and they all got their mouths open.
It's just like,
and he's like, oh God!
I'm just like, this is insane. I can't do it.
Dope trailer though.
That trailer was.
Hey, if Anchorman was like, you got to play The Evil Within too, I probably would have.
In VR,
I would have quit.
Oh, in VR, he would have got on the spot.
It makes me excited because we know Bethesda to be part of that. I feel like they're more with our generation in terms of gaming, so they stick to like what our generation's really like. You got Fallout. That's mainly what we play. We like to play all open world games if we're not playing a multiplayer. So we play single player open worlds. We've been all supporters of like Elder Scrolls, be it 3, 4, or 5, or the online one. We've been fans of what was the other game that they showed there? I can't.
Elder Scrolls.
Was it the Skyrim?
Wolfenstein, because Wolfenstein was big. Quake, which is an oldie. Like these games, some of these games grew up. We've grown up with them, and then in terms of formula, those formulas have grown up with us. And I feel like Evil Within, it just gives me like it. Not that I wasn't hopeful for Bethesda, but it gives me like a new hope. Like they're gonna go a different direction with like their portfolio, and they're gonna go. It's not just mature, but like a different form of entertainment. They're going for real horror. The Evil Within was kind of tough to play. It was pretty scary. But this one, I mean, using children and just like demonic things. They're touching up on something new. So I hope this is what they invest in some more because it looks promising.
Yeah, but I gotta be honest. Overall, that conference was boring just to me. I think it's more interesting for like people who are fans of those games. But it's like, for me, it was like, I'm not into Fallout, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really into Doom at all. You know what I'm saying? It was cool when you saw Link, you know, that was in Fallout on Nintendo Switch. That was cool. I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. But overall, man, it was boring for the first until I saw the Evil Within trailer in Wolfenstein. Those are the only two highlights of that conference. So you know, ultimately, I really didn't like it overall, honestly.
Yeah, you're right though. Like there's some parts where they show some character on the screen, and everybody's like, "Oh!" I'm like, "What I missed?" Like, and because there's some games there where I just didn't really play because it's not for me.
Yeah.
But the other ones were, so I was like in on it on those games, but some other games I felt left out. So he's right. It's
how long have we been talking about Fallout, fam? Like how long have we been talking about Doom, fam? Like. I'm like, I get it. There's the fan base for it. I get it, but it just was not interesting to me at all.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't my cup of tea either. I mean, the only thing that caught my interest was Evil Within. I mean, Wolfenstein is cool and all, but it was like, you know, Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein.
Yeah, it's Wolfenstein, you know? So, I mean.
Wait, man, you hate on Wolfenstein?
No, I'm not hating on Wolfenstein. I'm just saying, you know, Wolfenstein isn't like exactly brand new.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so it's just like, well, hey. But I mean, for all those.
What scores y'all giving this conference, man?
Oh man, but that's
we gotta give it a score. I'm gonna
give it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
That's being generous.
Okay, that's real. I'm gonna give it a solid 5 out of 10. Because the first half, I guess the first 70% of it, I really didn't like much at all, besides some little things here and there. But even within Wolfenstein, very impressive. So 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10 for the conference and 20 out of 10 for the party.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Legit. That's fair.
That's the only thing that
that's fair.
made that whole thing bearable.
Yep.
I would say a 7 out of 10, mainly because
this man food is generous as hell.
I say 7 out of 10.
Man, generous, dog.
I say 7 out of 10 because I don't necessarily think they did anything wrong. They didn't make a bad game. They're not putting out a game too early. They're making sure that these games comes out this year so you can get to play them. They had a lot of those games out there for you to play right now. They went a long way in trying to just create a good experience that most other developers and publishers don't have to do and don't do. There's nothing wrong with really capitalizing on what fans want, because you look at, for example, when we're talking about the Xbox conference, you hear people say, well, you don't have games. And then now when you get games, imagine I started complaining about no games after they showed 42 games. I feel like that's how it would be with Bethesda's conference after they gave you the things that you asked for. So Bethesda fans are asking for that. Mainly not necessarily them. And they're not because
we're not fans of
they're not their market.
Right.
So they're doing right by those who support them. So I think they didn't do anything
wrong.
That.
I respect that.
I respect that. They also did a great job promoting the card game for iOS and Android.
That is true.
Which is something you don't often see.
That was a big presentation.
That's a big presentation for a phone game.
That was big.
So
that was big.
Much respect to Bethesda on that, man. But listen, those are that's our thoughts on the Microsoft conference. I know a lot of people didn't like the Microsoft conference. We really thoroughly enjoyed it. Seeing that stuff in 4K on like 100-foot screen, it's nuts. It's just nuts. And you have the music blaring. It just was amazing. Even the intro of the S, when they were showing the S before the X. This is a problem. That's gonna be a problem. That's gonna be a problem. Yeah. But even showing the X, it's like seeing the console and the music that they had leading up to it was really cool. Microsoft's presentation was really on point from beginning to end. People just wanted that 1 or 2 big AAA exclusive that really kind of was the wow factor. And they kind of put the wow factor in a third-party market and did with Anthem. And honestly, I would rather them do that than show something that's unrefined, something that may not look good, that they have, which I recently heard they do have a game with Capcom.
Okay, exclusive, AAA?
An exclusive game with Capcom.
Timed exclusive or a true exclusive?
Well, I don't know. I'm hearing it's a true exclusive, but they didn't want to show it because it's not ready. Some type of werewolf game.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know what this. I recently just heard that today after having a conversation with somebody over, at
They gotta talk about it. They gotta talk about it.
I think they're going to show it next year. Hopefully, it's good and it delivers. We'll see what happens. But man, we got PlayStation conference coming up. So we'll be checking that out. We're going to go over the Ubisoft conference, and we'll be back tonight around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and we'll do a late show for you guys. So make sure you keep the lock here to the Inner Circle Network, and we appreciate you all for stopping out and hanging out with us. Before we finish up, you want to do a quick Q&A with some of the fans?
Oh, yeah that's fine. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Definitely. So I got you guys here. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them now. And we will definitely go ahead and try to answer them the best way we can. Too Much Fool is going to head out because he's got a connect that's going to get him into the PlayStation conference or the PlayStation show for us, which is great. So we get that PlayStation coverage. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and answer a few questions if you guys have any. For those of you who are still here, again, we greatly appreciate you. If anybody pops up, just ask it out.
Wait, you going to the PlayStation conference?
No, I'm going to let him out.
No, he's going to.
Yeah,
he's going.
Must be nice.
I'll let you know how to do it.
Yeah, whatever.
You see me on the TV like this.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, man. I'll be like this, so what you keep an eye out for me. Stay right here until you look.
Yeah, whatever. I don't want to hear this garbage. Got Xbox fans going to PlayStation conferences and crap. Don't make no damn sense.
And you're stuck here.
Yeah, don't make no sense to me.
Oh man.
Drop D Unchained says Corey in the house is top indie, right, Nick? I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Y'all not going to the conference? No, we are not going to the Sony conference.
Like a dummy.
Not all of us anyway. You know what I'm saying? Not, the important people that actually, like PlayStation, that's wearing a PlayStation shirt like myself. We're not going. But it's all good. We're going to check it out. All right, Leonard S. says, how long do you think that the X will extend the Xbox One's family's lifespan before next generation?
I got about 4 years.
You think about 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay, why?
I mean, really, well, okay. Let me retract that, because honestly, this is unprecedented having a mid-gen refresh. So, but if we're just going off how normally it should be, which is like, 5 to 6 years cycle, then it should be due for a brand new console soon. So I'm going to go about, I'm just going about 4 years.
You think about 4 years? Yeah. So how many years would that be total? So these consoles came out 2013?
Yeah, about 2020, 2021.
So how many years total do you think this generation is going to last?
At least to 2021.
Okay. All right. So my man Justin says, first time watching you guys, what game are you most excited to play from the Xbox conference? Yeah, we answered that earlier. Shout out to you, Justin. Appreciate you coming through. But for me, it was The Last Light, and then also a big shout out to Anthem as well. I think my man JDHD. What was the one you were saying?
Dragon Ball Z.
And then Cal, I think it was
Anthem.
All right. My man Mega Chris, he says, why the media is still hating Xbox after the price has been shown? Why do you think the media is hating Xbox?
Because the media want the price to be cheap, and they don't want to listen to Phil Spencer and the guys that were presenting it. It's funny because everybody wants. I feel like people want this console to fail. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody's like, oh, if it comes out at $499, it's dead on arrival. Microsoft never looked for the console to sell the way the regular Xbox wanted to sell. When Phil Spencer came out right out the rip, he said, he literally said, I don't expect the console to sell as well as the S. That the S will sell as much as possible. And honestly, it was almost a Don Matrick moment. Because he said, if you want the console to play the games that we have at a cheaper price, buy the S. We have a console for that.
Yeah.
And for those of you who can afford the premium device, this is what you're going to get. And as soon as he said that, I knew this console was going to be $500. I'm like, no one, and everybody's sitting up there like, it's $399. Oh, it's got to be $399. They want to compete with PlayStation. If they want to get back in the market, Microsoft don't care about that. They're doing well. Their subs are doing well. Their passes are doing well. All that stuff is doing well. So just getting this premium device out there, it's going to sell just like the Elite controller. Because they found out that there's a premium market with the Elite controller, and they made a premium console to go with it.
Which is true. What, they sold about 1 million of those already?
Absolutely. Already.
Yeah.
That thing's so fast as hell, too. Pretty quick.
So shout out to my man Arthur. He did ask a good question. He said, what game do you specifically want to play on the X most? So like for me, I would have to say I'm not, for sure if I'm going to get an Xbox One X or whatever. But if I was, the game that they did show that makes me want to go full-blown 4K would have to be Anthem. So when I looked at that game, that was the game that had in the back of my mind. I'm a frugal person. People think I'm cheap, but I'm frugal. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have a 4K TV right now. So for me to invest in a 4K TV, it's got to be something that's going to, that I feel is worth it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get the Pro because I don't feel like it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? But Anthem, when I saw that joint and I saw what I saw in full 4K, and I'm like, it's not going to look like this on anything else. And I'm like, and I'm going to need a 4K TV for this right here. So I'm starting to think in my head like, yeah, I may need to upgrade to 4K for this game. So yeah, that would be the game that I seen that makes me want to go full 4K / Xbox X.
Yeah,
Xbox
I
One
agree.
X.
I mean, look, Anthem to me was just mind blowing. It really, really was. Just seeing it in action. I literally sat there. It was next to these guys and was like, "Wait a second, that's not CGI."
Yeah.
Like when they first,
I think me and you both said
we
that.
was like, "Wait a second, that was actually talking and actually moving in game. That's not CGI going to a cutscene." Like, no, we were really genuinely like, "Yo, this is crazy impressive." And I can tell you right now, I don't know how many times we've seen games from Watch Dogs to The Division look amazing on screen, and they get to the console and it's just not that. And I'm like, if people think that this game that you see on screen is going to look like what you get on Xbox or regular PS4, you're not.
No.
You can only get what you've seen that day on screen on Scorpio, maybe PS4 Pro, but probably at a smaller lesser resolution. But for the most part, you're going to get what you saw on that screen on Scorpio, and to me, that's just a big deal. And of course, Black Desert. I just think Black Desert, as a guy who loves MMOs, I'm really heavily into Ark. I play a ton of MMOs, so a guy that's heavily into it, I'm really looking forward to playing Black Desert. It just looks so fluid, and it's just one of the most prettiest MMOs I've ever seen. So for me, it's a big deal, and I definitely want to play that as well. And then, of course, your regular AAAs like Forza Horizon 4 next year, or if they get an upgrade for 3, and then Halo. I would love to see what they do with Halo.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't give Halo credit for being a very beautiful game.
It is
but when you watch it or you play it, it actually, if you really look at the detail of the game, it's really, really a beautiful game.
Always been beautiful.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm still salty. Chris is going to this conference. Kiss move going. Everybody going.
Well, we gonna stream it here. So.
Yeah. We good.
Okay. The Trigger Man asks,
salty,
what megaton could Sony drop that would shock the gaming world?
Oh damn.
Oh,
a megaton that.
Here's what's crazy. I just read today that they just I think signed or renewed a trademark for Shadow of the Colossus.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
So
damn.
So they either may have a remaster or a reboot of Shadow of the Colossus.
That would shut it down.
That may be pretty big. I think. Listen, Sony has an extensive library of titles. I grew up on PS2 is one of my favorite, if not my favorite console of all time. That and Super Nintendo, and then of course Xbox 360, in my top 5. I've been clamoring for a new Legend of Dragoon for decades. I would love to see them get back into the Legend of Dragoon series. They already doing a great job with bringing Final Fantasy VII. Seeing Shenmue on there, obviously I would prefer it on Xbox because it's been with the Dreamcast Xbox type thing. And I heard some stuff. I have some stuff, but I can't talk about it. I can't. But we're gonna keep it for PlayStation for now. But for the most part, man, I would love to see them bring back something from PS2 era that I thought was like really big and amazing. Legend of Dragoon was one of those games, man. It was unique, different dragon characters. It was like one of the first games where suits really played a role in what the characters were. The story was really dope too.
Now that you mention it, if what you were saying true about Shadow of Colossus, that's what I would want.
That'd be huge.
Yeah,
right?
if it was anything I had to see
Shadow of Colossus.
and that was possible or that could come, Shadow of Colossus would be.
Megaton wise, man, I don't know. I mean, to shock the gaming world, man, there's so much they could show. Honestly, man, I mean, the new IP from Sucker Punch, if that thing turns out to be just totally different on the scale of like Horizon. Not saying to be the same game, but just be something totally different than what they are used to doing. Something like that could blow people away, man. Let me see. If they were to bring back, the premise of Rockstar's game Agent, something like that, that would blow people away. I mean, there's so many like possibilities on the PlayStation side of things that's going to really just shock people. There's so much that they have in the pipeline that could possibly, shock people. I mean, I just was looking at Twitter. People want SOCOM to come back. I'm saying? There's still a fan base for that too. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, there's a lot of things they can go in the vault and bring back that would just blow people away. that I feel like they have the opportunity, to do so. It's just a matter if they, want to invest the resources in that or not. But yeah, I mean, game like Agent, they bring that back. I think people would just lose their minds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah,
it'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Where am I at? Victor Alstein. Shout out to Victor, man. Question: do you think with the OG Xbox backwards compatibility, we'll see a revisit of games like Advent Rising, maybe even a remake in Mass Effect or Anthem style? Advent Rising, a remake like Mass Effect? I don't know, man. That the game just did so poorly. It didn't sell very well. I don't know if Microsoft would invest in it. They do need to invest in something like that. But considering they have Anthem, considering they have Halo, they really kind of need to step away from the alien sci-fi genre for a bit. Maybe go medieval like Rise, because it's rare that you don't have that type of stuff. Maybe even go modern. Maybe like a little twist of sci-fi, here and there, but like Minority Report. Like you went futuristic, but you're not that futuristic.
You're still in current
in the current times, kind of. Maybe they can go there and find something in that space. But yeah, you don't want to try to oversaturate with too much sci-fi content in a way either. It's kind of disappointing that I didn't see Perfect Dark there. Not to say that maybe it may show up at Gamescom because of Rare, and Rare is at Gamescom and stuff, so you never know. It's a Euro show. But kind of disappointed that also because Ubisoft renewed Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell didn't show up.
Yeah,
nope.
And that trademark, that trademark was renewed too. So they have
people
they
upset
have it,
about that,
but it's not there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. It's pretty dicey. It's pretty dicey. Victor Allenstein also says Chrono Trigger remake would be the biggest megaton. I mean, it would be. My only problem is that I associate Chrono Trigger with SNES because that's what I played it on. Chrono Cross was, of course, on the PlayStation, I think 1, or PS2. I think 1. I want to say 1. And I didn't play Chrono Cross.
Do you know who has a license to Chrono Trigger?
Square.
Square has it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
good luck.
Exactly.
Good luck.
But now if the Switch got Chrono Trigger, I might have to trade my son in.
You gonna trade your son in for a Switch?
Come on. Hey, gotta make that switch.
No pun.
You know what I'm saying? My daughter's small. She's cute. My son at some point he's gonna get on my nerves when he's like, get rid of that early. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what happens. Triggerman says it is SOCOM's 20th anniversary. SOCOM, but they got rid of Zipper, which is the guys who was making SOCOM.
That's true. SOCOM's
so you really want that?
Yeah, I don't know.
SOCOM
Who do you get to do SOCOM is the question. Triggerman also asks, what is your thoughts on PlayStation Resurrect? How does this turn into a PlayStation show?
Because I'm wearing a PlayStation shirt.
Oh my God.
It's time.
It's PlayStation
too many PlayStation questions, bro.
We got 30 minutes.
Hey, it's PlayStation
the
Day.
show. We got 30 minutes to the show. It's on everybody's mind right now.
I give Nick his. It is PlayStation Day.
It is. Real talk. Right. It is.
Thoughts on PlayStation? Thoughts on PlayStation resurrecting PlayStation Home for VR, a virtual world for PlayStation VR.
Oh man, the PlayStation Home thing I was never into. I know it has a good fan base and a lot of people were into that. I just never saw. I never saw the actual potential of it. I guess it was just something that was just there. They didn't really do much with it. I think if they're going to do something like that, it has to make sure that it is actually dedicated. It's like a quality service. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't conflict with the ecosystem that they got going right now. You know what I'm saying? So if they were to bring something like that back, it has to be good quality. Because to me, before it wasn't good quality. It seemed like just an empty space where people came together to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? I just really was not a fan of PlayStation Home, honestly. So but I know it has a fan base. I know people will be hyped for it if they brought it back, as long as they do it right. And I think it'd be good.
Gotcha. Before we get out of here, man, I just want to give a big shout out to, and make sure I don't forget, because last time I made a mistake and did that. Josh Hill, who donated $5
Oh, nice.
To the Inner Circle Network.
We appreciate that.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate your support, man. You know, we really bust our butts out here for you guys day in and day out, every week putting out content.
That's what's up.
So we're very grateful for any donations, any support, as always. Whether it's $1, $5, $2, whatever, we're grateful for the support. And finishing up, man, just going to go ahead and answer 2 more questions and then go ahead and head out because we want to get ready for the PlayStation conference. Arthur Hughes asks, when will we see Crackdown multiplayer?
I would say Gamescom.
I would say
Gamescom. They showed off multiplayer on the first reveal, then single player for E3 just to get a little taste, and then I think they're gonna go back to what they know we really all want to see, and that's multiplayer.
Yeah, I think they'll have Crackdown at E3 to play.
You think?
I think they'll have at least the.
But would it be single player or multiplayer?
Probably the single player.
I think it'd be a single player, probably like a 15-minute demo.
Mm-hmm.
Run in, do a quick mission, and then get out of there.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. That's one of the. I'm definitely if they do have it, that's definitely one of the places I want to go first.
He's going there first.
I'm definitely going to Crackdown first, so I can get a hands-on impression of the game and really give guys an understanding of what I played, whether I liked it or not.
Yeah.
And kind of just get it out the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just one of the things that people are concerned about. They don't think Crackdown is a big enough title, so I want to get in there to play it so I can see if it lives up to the hype. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be a big enough title, or is it, or it's not? And finally, Victor Alstein says, do you think Rare could close as Sea of Thieves doesn't seem to be generating interest in the public?
You mean close as
Close the studio?
Close studio? Or
Yeah, I guess could Rare could close as Sea of Thieves doesn't seem to be generating interest in the public.
well, if he's asking on closing the studio, I don't think Microsoft will shut Rare down.
They're not going to. Rare is so legendary.
Yeah.
They're gonna do that. I think they would sell Rare before they would shut them down.
They would. Rare would be fine.
Or fire the team.
Rare would be fine. Whether Sea of Thieves do good or not, I think they'll be fine.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know why Sea of Thieves isn't generating buzz. I really liked the presentation they did. The pacing, like I think Anchorman was talking about that when we had a conversation with him. He said that the showing Sea of Thieves during the conference kind of threw the pacing off because we were getting so much going action and game after game after game, and then Sea of Thieves is kind of like this patience. It's like you got to take your time. You're walking, you got to read the treasure and all that stuff. But what I really liked about it was that they finally showed something that we didn't get a chance to see, was the exploration and adventure aspect, trying to find treasure, getting a map, reading the riddles, trying to figure out where to go, bumping into enemies, looking at the mystical aspect of things, and then trying to escape. Now, when you throw in the diversion of a new crew coming in and trying to get that same treasure chest while you're trying to fight enemies on the map or trying to escape on a ship, I think that's where it becomes very dynamic and becomes very fun. I don't think Sea of Thieves is a game you can watch. It's a game you have to play.
And yeah, I do agree with that. It is something you definitely have to play. But I also think another reason that people are kind of down on it is they kind of see it as a no man's sky, which I don't necessarily see it that way. But I know a lot of people who I've talked to and where I've been reading, they see it that way, and they think it's just going to be a repeat because No Man's Sky left a lot of games that has exploration and multiplayer. It left a lot of bad taste in people's mouths, so nobody wants to go through that again. And I understand that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so listen, man, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to today's, this afternoon show. Again, we'll be back tonight around 10-11 p.m. to do the PlayStation Ubisoft show and give our impressions on that and our reviews and stuff. And then, of course, we're here the rest of the week for E3, so make sure you keep it locked. Go to TICGN.com to get the latest music content, and we will do our best to continue to deliver you content the rest of the week here on the TIT Network. I want to thank you guys for your support once again and your donations. You guys have a great night. I'm your host, KLRSKLL, the last of the planet Xbox, with Nicodemus X, the King of Indies, and JDHD, the premier writer for anime at TICGN.com. You guys have a good one. Peace.